Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Also, if you are looking for something new and different for the upcoming Compliance Week celebration in November, check out The Compliance Kids. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. The Daily Compliance News for November 8, 2024, the Rewriting How Business is Done edition. And we begin with that story from the Wall Street Journal with no individual reporter listed, but the WSJ Pro staff. And they list the number of ways that a Trump administration could rewrite how we do business. For the compliance professional, we need to consider technology, including AI deregulation, cyber enforcement priorities, paring back actions to protect consumers, federal agency reorganization, financial regulation, including the rules review. Getting rid of Gary Gensler will be high on the list if he doesn't resign beforehand, and carried interest. So, whatever happens in the next administration, it's going to be big changes. Next up from the American Banker, they urge FinTechs to be more proactive about compliance regulation. In the wake of multiple enforcement actions against banks involved in FinTech partnerships, regulators and legislatures are stepping up demands for stricter oversight and clearer guidelines to ensure better accountability. The Federal Reserve's recent enforcement action against Evolve serves as a stark reminder why the focus on the fin part of FinTech is critical. In a very interesting article from the Financial Times, the U.S. has backed the government of Argentina in urging a New York court to block the seizure of the country's assets as part of the fulfillment of a $16 billion legal judgment for fear of reprisals against American interests in foreign territories. Claimants are minority shareholders in the state-owned energy company YPF, which Argentina expropriated, and they received a judgment against Argentina, which is on appeal. The stakeholders had asked the judge to hand over the company's remaining stake in the company to satisfy their damage request. And our final story today comes to us from the New York Times, which reports that Canada has shut down TikTok's office over national security risks. You know, Canada can do it. I don't know why the United States doesn't seem to be able to, but they have real national security risks against the wildly popular app. And the decision was based on the advice of the Canadian security and intelligence communities. So it's going to be interesting to see what, if anything, happens to TikTok under the Trump administration. At one point, he hated it. They made a donation, then he loved it. Imagine that. And at the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.